Welcome to the Movie Recaps King. Today I have a fantastic story about a woman who is unhappy with her fiancé. Mallory, a young woman, is driving alone. She is a bride-to-be on her way to Denver for her wedding rehearsal. She listens to a voicemail from her boyfriend in which he apologizes for having to reschedule their honeymoon due to a major deal at work. In a few months, he pledges to take her to Hawaii. Mallory is dissatisfied and comes to a halt at a tea stop. Instead of driving to Denver, she decides to take the leisurely route. She puts on some music and her mood quickly transforms. She smiles as she drives away, munching on a mandarin. Her automobile breaks down a few minutes later. She had no idea what went wrong. She then removes her engagement ring and places it in the cubby. She then attempts to phone a car service, but there is no signal. Mallory discovers some pornographic brochures belonging to her fiancé under the vehicle seat. She pops a can of soda and spills it on her shirt as she tries to change her clothes. A man approaches her from behind the automobile, startling her. The man promptly offers to assist in repairing the car. He removes his shirt and dives right in. While asking a number of inquiries, Mallory is impressed when he starts the car. He presents himself as a Christian, and Mallory thanks him before leaving. When Mallory drives away, she comes to a halt and offers Christian a ride. All along the road, they begin to converse and tell one another stories about their life. Mallory offers to drive Christian to a nearby little motel after he mentions that he could use a break. Just then, Christian begins to talk about how fate brought them together and how it was supposed to be this way. Worse, he makes a derogatory remark about his body parts, which Mallory finds offensive. Mallory is shocked, but she maintains her composure and asks that Christian exit the vehicle. Mallory tries to get out of the car since Christian appears hostile, but he stops her. He suddenly pulls out a knife and orders her to drive. In panic, she begins driving, and Christian informs her that he is bringing her to an abandoned motel where the two of them will not be disturbed. Mallory notices his seatbelt is unfastened and attempts to kill him by rushing towards a guardrail near a curve. Christian tries to stop her, and the car crashes violently off the cliff. Mallory awakens to find herself in an upside-down vehicle with cuts all over her body. She unhooks her seatbelt but is unable to exit because her leg is trapped in the seat. She rips her jacket to conceal a large wound on her hand. Mallory notices Christian's knife and grabs it. Seeing how much trouble she has gotten herself into, Christian tells her that it was nice to meet her and leaves her alone. Mallory cries for aid and beats the horn, but no one responds. When darkness falls, you're in the middle of a lonely ravine. She tries to pull the leg out, but every movement she makes intensifies the bleeding. Mallory begins trembling in the cold as the temperature decreases. She puts on a hoodie and lies alone and terrified. Suddenly, she hears a disturbance nearby, which appears to be from wild animals. She flashes her automobile lights to scare them away. Fortunately for her, it works, and nothing assaults her. Ants are swarming on her wounded wounds the next morning. She swallows some water and spits some of it back into the bottle, thinking it's all that's left when Christian appears out of nowhere and informs her that he spotted a cottage nearby the night before. He confronts her about why she ran off the road. He then wonders if she was worried he would rape her. Mallory refuses to answer his inquiries and instead requests water and food. Christian then pulls out some food and begins eating in front of her. As she tells him about the first time she had sex, he promises to give her some food. Mallory, desperate for food, begins reminiscing about her first date with a man named Theo. Mallory agrees with Christian's desire to know every aspect. Christian, on the other hand, begins to laugh. When he realizes Mallory is lying to him, he changes his mind and claims Mallory is merely fantasizing about Theo. He abandons her once more without providing the promised food. Another night passes, and Mallory leaves a note in case she dies and is discovered in this state. She turns on the car heater, but it is insufficient to keep her warm, so she starts a fire outdoors and burns some undesired items. She eventually puts her wedding veil into the fire and watches it burn, having no regrets. Later that night, when she is sleeping, some rats enter and smear themselves about her. She smashes one of them with a car key, terrified. Mallory later decides to eat the rat because she has been hungry for 2 days. She slits open the dead rat and cooks some slices of meat over the fire. Finally, Mallory has something to eat. The next morning, Mallory hears her phone ring outside. Christian reappears just as she is about to respond. He tells her about the family he is holding prisoner. Mallory hides her phone and knife at the cabin while pretending to listen to his story. The phone suddenly starts ringing again, and Christian has to struggle Mallory to get it. He obtains the phone and breaks it into pieces. The psychopath informs Mallory that he enjoys watching her attempt to flee. Then he hands her a handsaw. Mallory says she can't use it to cut the door, but he insists he doesn't mean it. She quickly learns he wants her to cut off her leg or else she will die from bleeding. He says his goodbyes, leaving Mallory alone. Mallory then attempts to extend the seat with the saw, but the saw breaks off. To stay hydrated, Mallory is forced to urinate into a bottle and drink it. Mallory feels relieved when it begins to rain a few moments later. She collects and consumes some of the rainwater. Mallory then spots a car and shouts for aid, only to find that Christian has returned to punish her. Mallory has an idea, and she convinces Christian into thinking she tried to cut off her leg and died from excessive bleeding. Christian gets into the car to make sure she's actually dead, but quickly discovers it's all a trick. Mallory attacks him with a knife right away, and they struggle. She eventually stabs Christian, but he survives. Mallory snatches his car key, sets off the alarm, and then throws the key somewhere, which he can't find. He hurries back to his car to silence the car alarm, but just then, a police car approaches him, and the officer asks Christian if he needs any assistance. Christian has been offered a ride by a police officer. Mallory then uses her flashlight in the car horn to try to attract the attention of the cop. The officer looks around, understanding that someone is in danger and requesting assistance. But as the rainfall worsens, Christian persuades him to leave as quickly as possible. The cop agrees hesitantly and departs with a maniac. As the rain continues to fall, the valley begins to flood. As the water pours inside the automobile, Mallory tries to cut her leg off before drowning inside. The car is subsequently washed away by the sea, releasing her leg. She escapes the submerged automobile and swims to shore, her leg seriously damaged. She walks with the assistance of a stick. She travels to the house where Christian claims to have been. Mallory chooses to assist a woman who is yelling for aid. She trips and falls near a bear trap. She walks to the cabin and watches Christian kill the police officer, as well as that he has killed the homeowners but is holding their daughter Katie hostage. While Mallory is removing the shackles from Katie's hands, she hears Christian approaching and hides behind the door. Then she points a gun she found at him and threatens to shoot him if he moves. He assaults Mallory. Mallory battles with Christian before finally pushing him off the balcony as Katie flees. In the bear trap, he falls and crushes his leg. She limps downstairs, hands him his knife, and tells him she'll give him the same chance he gave her. Christian eventually succumbs to his injuries and dies. Mallory and Katie limp along the road as the front door slams shut. This is where we come to the end of this story. She managed to survive and save the girl from the house. The psychopath got what he deserved. Unfortunately, the policeman and the girl's parents were also killed. Subscribe to see more videos in the future. It definitely helps the channel if you like this video. I'm glad you chose to watch this story, and I'll see you soon in the new one.